Okay, welcome back. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged political, traditional, and community leaders in Plateau State to adopt a concrete action plan to end the recurring violence, as the federal government has approved a 2 billion relief for victims of recent attacks. At a 3-hour interactive session with the 32-member Plateau State delegation at the State House in Abuja, the president called on stakeholders to move beyond rhetoric and agree on practical and implementable steps to secure lasting peace. The meeting followed his earlier commitment to engage Plateau leaders after the March 29 killings in Angwarukuba, just north local government area of the state. Now to the dailies. Let's look at the front pages of the newspaper. And on the Plateau situation, I really hope that this would bring a lasting solution, because it seems it's a situation that had lingered on for so many years, with thousands of people that have been caught in this unfortunate situation, from cattle rustling to herders farmers clashes to community issues, religious issues. The state that is supposed to be the home of peace and tourism are not exactly experienced so much peace in the last few years, and we're hoping that with this major intervention from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we see a sustained peace right there in Plateau State. So, to the good people of Plateau State, from Haipan to Jos North to Jos South to Barikin to Riyom to Shandam, I'm hoping that the leaders of your state will do the right things, put in policies that would help to end these unnecessary and unwanted killings that is going on in your state. Thank you very much. So let's run through the pages of the newspaper. And this one, I'm going to be starting with the Guardian newspaper with a big picture. Well, finally, we had that conversation from Monday, Tuesday on the show, that despite the endorsement from the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa, former Speaker of the Federal House of Representatives and now the Chief of Staff to the President, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, and even the sitting governor, His Excellency Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu. A lot of people still had doubts and questions around the legitimacy of the consensus and the endorsement of the Deputy Governor, Dr. Hamzat. Now, yesterday at the State House, members of the GAC that on Tuesday, also endorsed the Deputy Governor, paid a visit to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and after the visit, the Deputy Governor, Dr. Hamzat, presented his nomination form to the President, and then the endorsement was done. So that's one of the leading pictures on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. We have the Governor of the state, His Excellency Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the former governor and now President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the Deputy Governor, and the APC consensus candidate for Lagos State, of course, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat, and the leader of the GAC in Lagos, Prince Tajuddin Olusi. That is the big picture on the front page of the Guardian newspaper. So let's run through some of the major headlines that we have. Tinubu removes NMDPRA CEO, public interest, nominates Umar. Remember that the CEO of the NMDPRA was appointed about 4 months ago. And that's I think at the start of 2026. Now he's been removed and citing a public interest. Court grants federal government's plea for witness protection and accelerated trial of suspects. That is on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Court grants plea for witness protection and accelerated trial of suspects. And that is on the coup, against President Bola Ahmed, an attempted coup against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Still on the front page of the Guardian, page 3, if you want to get the full details of this story. Fear over oil gluts as NNPC Limited increases crude price across all grades. That is on page 3, right there for the Guardian newspaper. Of course, the biggest headline right here is on insecurity. Atiku Tinubu trade blames as the United States moves to tighten oversight on Nigeria. With the rider 2027, Tinubu backs Hamzat for Lagos APC Guba tickets. Okay. ADC faces existential tests as Supreme Court's verdict shapes 2027 prospects. I remember yesterday the Federal High Court in Abuja also gave a ruling that suspended the leadership of distinguished Senator David Mark, citing issues raised and prayers brought before her by the 36 state chairman of the ADC. So, the Supreme Court judgment is expected to come up today, and the ADC is also hoping that the rulings would favor them. Okay, that is much on the Guardian. Okay, that's still little stories. NMA reject court ruling granting FCCPC oversight on medical negligence, and that is the Nigerian Medical Association are giving their position on that judgment. That is also captured on the page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. And finally, Plateau State, Tinubu seeks end to crisis, okays 2 billion reliefs for victims. That was the script that I read earlier, and is expected for the people of Plateau State to find a way to bring up lasting peace and keep the people of those states alive. For a state that goes with the slogan of the home of peace and tourism, one would expect a little more in terms of commitment to peace, safety, and security of the people. And that is what the president is saying. 2 billion for the victims, and the meeting and assurance with the leaders and the members of the Plateau delegate. 32 of them were in the State House to visit the president yesterday. So there is that commitment. Let's leave Guardian. Let's check what the Nation is saying. Upon the resignation of the Minister of Foreign Affairs to aspire to be governor of a state, Bauchi, there's a little shake-up in that ministry as Bianca Ojukwu is upgraded from the Minister of State Foreign Affairs to the substantive Minister of Foreign Affairs. So, Eni Konlaye to join the team. He's been nominated as the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. So now we have Bianca Ojukwu as the Minister of Foreign Affairs. Okay, and that's a good one right there. How Africa can maximize global economy mineral, maximize global mineral economy. That is coming from Mr. Dele Alake, and that is on the page 3 of the Nation newspaper. Still on the Nation, IG orders dismissal and trial of officer who shot man in Delta. How we uncover plots to topple Tinubu by military officer. I'm sure a lot of us have seen the outrage that surrounded the unfortunate extrajudicial killing that happened in Delta State. The said officer, ASP Audu, was brought to Abuja, and the Inspector General of Police, IGP Disu, had ordered the dismissal and the trial of the officer who shot the suspect in Delta State. Still on the Nation, the same picture that is on the front page of the Guardian is also right here on the front page of the Nation, although it's a bit bigger, accommodating more people. All for Hamzat. From left, Lagos APC chairman Cornelius Ojelabi, GAC leader Prince Tajuddin Olusi, and of course the deputy governor and the gubernatorial candidate of the APC in the 2027 election in Lagos, Dr. Hamzat, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the governor of Lagos State, His Excellency Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the secretary of GAC, Alhaji Mutiu Are, and of course the former speaker of House of Representatives and former member Surulere Federal Constituency 1, and the current chief of staff to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Femi, Right Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, was also captured in that picture. Okay, the airline is quite big though. APC aspirants set up big battles for tickets in states. Yes, it's been from one endorsement to the other, from issues around consensus and nominations and recommendations, whatever English or nomenclature you want to call it. There's a big battle ahead for the aspirants in Lagos. I know Some of the gubernatorial aspirants in Lagos are still purchasing their forms. They are still insisting at that time there had to be open primaries, and they want to get up in that conversation. But when you have the sitting governor, the president, the chief of staff to the president, the speaker, the GAC, almost the entire political structure around Lagos has endorsed the sitting deputy governor, Dr. Hamzat. It could be a bit difficult, but like Tone would always say, in politics, everything is possible. Supreme Court to determine ADC's fate today with the rider courts void congresses conducted by David Mark-led NWC. There's still so much problem for the ADC to deal with. And if you look at it, it feels like a contrast. The APC on one side seems to be getting his out his order. The purchase of nomination form and indication of interest went on since day first today. Everybody is putting up their own nomination from House of Reps, House of Assembly, to the Senate, to the governorship. I saw the senator representing Ogun West Senatorial District, distinguished Senator Olamilekan Yayi, with the governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun. He went to present his form to the governor. Honorable James Faleke, representing Ikeja Federal Constituency 1, would also picked up the form for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, 100 million. So we've seen quite a lot of senatorial aspirants sitting and aspiring to come in from Ondo to Ekiti, where there will be election this year. So politics proper has started. But where does the opposition party stay in this one? Labour Party, the ADC, the SDP, the PDP, and of course, so many other political parties. But for the APC, it seems they have everything sorted. So APC aspirants set up big battles for tickets in states. Heavyweights sidestep consensus for shadow poll. So the other candidates are saying, don't give consensus. Let us all go to the field. Let us encourage a level playing field to strengthen internal democracy within our party. Okay. For APC Delta Senatorial District, there was a mega declaration yesterday. And I was having a joke with a friend of mine yesterday. And I said, it looks like the senatorial election in Delta will be more competitive than the gubernatorial election in the state. There are quite a lot of big wigs that are throwing their heart in the ring just to get the juicy seats to represent the good people of Delta State across the 3 senatorial districts of the state. Well, we keep monitoring the situation in Delta states, and so far it's still peaceful. So on the APC headlines, there are states and some of their gladiators. For Lagos, there is Babafemi Hamzat, the sitting deputy governor. There is the 2023 PDP governorship candidate, Jide Adediran, popularly known as Jandor. And of course, there is Samuel Ajose, popularly known as SMA. All of them are very much in the conversation. For Ogun State, there is Senator Olamilekan Adeola, popularly known as Yayi. And of course, there is Abayomi Hunye. For your state, there is Senator Sharafaddin Ali. He's also picked up his nomination form. There is Chief Adebayo Adelabu, the immediate past Minister of Power, that resigned to contest for the seat of the #1 seat in Oyo State. In Nasarawa State, there is some, issues also brewing, especially with the governor of the state endorsing a candidate and the former governor saying, no way, it's not going to happen. So we have Senator Aliyu Wadada, is a serving senator, and of course, the former Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Adamu. Both of them are also regarded as big factors and gladiators in the Nasarawa state politics. For Yobe, Ahmed Lawan, you know that name, right? Yes, the former president of the Nigerian Senate is also being regarded as a major stakeholder in Yobe politics. Remember, he's one of the longest serving lawmakers we have in Nigeria, from the Federal House of Representatives to the Senate, to Senate presidents. Now, he's holding it down for Yobe. For Borno State, Professor Babagana Zulum made it clear that he has a candidate. Mustapha Gubio seems to be the anointed successor for Professor Babagana Zulum. But there's also Senator Kaka Lawan that is saying, listen, we're going to get this done and we're going to go for an open primaries. For Bauchi State, there is Senator Shehu Boba, and of course, the immediate past Minister of Foreign Affairs, Yusuf Meitama Tuga. And these are the major factors in the APC in some of these states. Okay, for Kaduna, the sitting governor, His Excellency Governor Obasani, former senator, is also being regarded as a solid stakeholder in that conversation. There's also Alhaji Yerima Shetima in that. For Kwara State, there is Femi Sani and there is Senator Salihu Mustafa. So I just think of these names. And once the game proper starts, you would get to hear people, mentioning these names over and over again. For Lagos, Jida Adediran Jando is saying, I'm still going on with my ambition. We've not been duly informed, but I'm sure he's seen the pictures. I'm sure he's read the nomination from the former speaker, now the chief of staff, the current speaker for Lagos, Right Honorable Mudashiru Obasa. We've also heard the nomination and the consensus and endorsement from the GAC, the Governor's Advisory Council, and the biggest of them all, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu himself, had also endorsed Dr. Obafemi Hamzat for the governorship candidate of Lagos State. Well, don't forget, you're still live with us on the show, and it is MITV Plus Breakfast Express. And we're running some newspaper headlines, and when we're done, like I said earlier on, we have a guest that's going to be joining us on the show, and we have so much more to offer you. Okay, let's look at Nigerian Tribune now. Let's start from Dangote Refinery's jet fuel exports rise sharply as World Bank IMF face criticism over East Africa refineries debates. Okay, and that is on page 6 of the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, Tinubu mandates Plateau stakeholders to work towards lasting peace, donates 2 billion naira to the victims of several attacks. I hope this money gets to the people, by the way, because it's one thing for the president to release this money, it's another thing for the powers that be in the states to make sure that the money gets to the right people. Okay, Oyo 2027, weighing the APC's 3 frontrunners' strength, structure, and the pathway to the Agodi government house. That is on page 11. It's something you may want to look into deeply, because that's a special report on the political space in Oyo State. Yes, the major headline for Nigerian Tribune: Supreme Court decides PDP ADC's fate today. And that is on page 4, with the rider High Court bars INEC from recognizing ADC state congresses. That was the judgment from the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday. So it's from one judgment to the other, one problem to the other for the opposition. ADC is fighting for its political survival because they're really running against time. There's a schedule by INEC that covers how the election will go. But again, this judgment from the Supreme Court is really, really important for the survival of the ADC. So, the same picture that was captured earlier in the front page of Guardian shows there is the leader of the GSC in Lagos, Prince Tajuddin Olusi. There is also the Deputy Governor, Dr. Obafemi Hamzat. There is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and the Governor of Lagos State, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu, as Dr. Hamzat get the president's support ahead of the 2027 election at the presidential villa yesterday. So, still on Nigerian Tribune, updates on the unfortunate, trigger happy call in Delta State. Police order dismissal and prosecution of officer involved in the Ephraim shooting. More of that is on page 25 of the Nigerian Tribune. Okay, still on NNPC Limited, 210 trillion NNPC probe. Kyari, Ajia, Wunti, all ready to testify. Our Senate committee gives Ojulari fresh May 13 ultimatum or risk arrest. Okay, that is on page 3 of Nigerian Tribune. Okay, health tip. I think it's one of my favorite part of Nigerian Tribune. High pesticide exposure raises cancer risk by 150%. That is a study. So for those of us that love to apply mosquito coil and we sleep inside the mosquito coil, some of us that just spray pesticide or insecticide and then we choose to sleep inside, it is very dangerous for you as it exposes you to a higher risk of cancer by 150%. You may want to get more of that story. I checked page 30 of Nigerian Tribune. Still in Lagos, 2027, Tinubu endorses Hamzat as GAC visits the villa. I am ready for the race. Lagos State Deputy Governor responds. Of course, you've got to be ready for the race, and you play the waiting game. And of course, as the sitting Deputy Governor, Lagos State seems to have a model that encourages continuity and consistency. Yes, a lot of questions have been asked if Lagos could be better if there was proper competition. But again, politics is a game of numbers. So it's not about emotions. It's not about sentiment. It's about what you bring on the table. Are you able to appeal to the people, hold on to your political structure, reach out to the people, and that is how elections are won. Not on the pages of newspaper, not via social media rants and blackmails. It is strictly about the game. And they would always say, because of the nature of Nigeria's political space, it's a winner takes all. So people go all out to make sure that they do the right things to win election. And finally, on Nigerian Tribune, Senate approves Tinubu's $516.3 million loan for Sokoto Badagry Super Highway. That is on page 21 of Nigerian Tribune. Yes, so if you're interested in the Dangote Refineries reports, I check page 6 of Nigerian Tribune. And of course, you want to know how the 3 front runners are faring in Oyo State politics ahead of the January 2027 governorship election in the state. You can help yourself pick up a copy of Nigerian Tribune and check page 11. Okay, let's check what the Punch is punching on for this morning. Petrol nears 1,400 per litre as Dangote hikes price. I think we're paying dearly for the fact that as one of the largest oil producing nations in the world, a country that has arguably the best crude oil in the world. They call it sweet crude because of how good our crude is. But it's unfortunate that for about 30 years, we've not had a functional refinery. From Port Harcourt to Warri to Kaduna, billions of taxpayers' monies are being invested into those refineries. And for many years, not a single barrel of crude have been refined or processed in those refineries. So when a nation of almost 200 million people are almost 95% dependent on a single man for his daily consumption needs, then you should know that there will be problems like this. So with all of the chaos that Nigerians are dealing with every single day, the worst thing we want to have right now is more pains, as there are possibilities that there could be an increment in the cost of petrol. It could go as high as 1,400 naira per litre. It's not looking good, but the government needs to do something as quick as possible. Okay, zoning split coalition. Obedience demand southern candidates. Okay. The obedient movement seems to be insisting on presidential ticket or nothing. So they said they don't want to deputize anybody. They don't even want a repeat of the 2019 Atiku Obi ticket on the platform of the People's Democratic Party. It is presidential ticket or nothing. But if you look at the structure of the ADC, especially with Atiku Abubakar coming out to say that he's still very much interested and this will be his last chance to throw his heart into the ring. Remember, Atiku Abubakar is 79. If he wins the election, and by the time he's leaving office, he would be, give and take, 85 years old. That is if he doesn't choose to run for second term. They would always say that age is just a number. But go to Cameroon and ask the people about Paul Biya, and they'll tell you that sometimes leadership entails a whole lot more than just those numbers. Okay. But there seems to be a split with the coalition while the APC is also building up. And remember, it looks like the consensus conversation in the APC may not hold waters actually, because there is a man, Stanley Osifo, from Delta State, from Edo State, that has picked up the presidential nomination form to run against President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the primaries, and he has paid his 100 million naira. Talking about a man that is strategic enough, let's see how that will play out. But for now, the opposition are still struggling with a whole lot of things, especially on issues that has to do with consensus. Will it be consensus? Will there be open primaries? In fact, that is not even on their top agenda right now. The major concern for the ADCs are the Supreme Court judgment that could decide the fate of the party. Right there at the Federal High Court in Abuja yesterday, the judgment invalidated the state congresses conducted by the leadership of distinguished Senator David Mark. That is a judgment that the ADC does not want at the moment. However, that is even a lesser concern and a lesser trouble. The biggest one for them now is, listen, Supreme Court, where do we stand? Is David Mark the legitimate leader of the party? If Supreme Court should uphold that decision, then the judgment of the Federal High Court yesterday would also be stepped aside. So the ADC are really struggling for that political survival, while the APC seems to be getting things done. To Plateau State, Tinubu vows crackdown on killers, approves 2 billion naira relief for the victims. Okay, that is for the Punch newspaper. So, Tinubu sacks NMDPRA boss amid for pricing row. Okay. Now the story is coming out gradually. Remember, the new NMDPRA boss was appointed into the office early this year, and about 4 months after, he's been removed and already replaced by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Okay. Still on the Punch newspaper, the big headline: ADC PDP awaits crucial Supreme Court verdict today. With the rider, Apex Court ruling may redefine control of party structures. That is for the PDP and the ADC. Still taking the rider for that headline: fresh High Court order restrains INEC on ADC Congress recognition. PDP faction brace up for courtroom showdown. Almost all of the opposition parties are having issues at the courts. And the APC seems to be getting stronger. More senators, lawmakers are coming into the parties. More party bigwigs from the opposition also decamping into the party. So, let's see how it goes. Adeleke alleges APC plots to disrupt Osun election. That is coming from the Accord Party candidates in the 2026 gubernatorial election in Osun State. Governor Adeleke is alleging that the APC is plotting to disrupt the Osun election. Okay, I checked that out on page 39 of the Punch newspaper. NRS flags rising illicit capital outflow, recovers 80 billion naira. That is the Nigerian Revenue Service doing the job of tax collection. There's also a repeat of this same picture of the GSC leader, Prince Tajuddin Olusi, the Lagos State Deputy Governor, Dr. Bafemi Hamzat, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Lagos State Governor, His Excellency Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, Mr. Babatunde. Okay, that's Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, as Dr. Hamzat gets the president's support ahead of the 2027 governorship election in Lagos. Okay. Chibok girls, 12 set to graduate from Yola Varsity. That is on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. How we abducted and killed Lagos UTME candidates. Suspects confession. That is on page 4 and page 5 of the Punch newspaper. And finally, on the Punch, Tinubu elevates Odumegu Ojukwu, appoints Enikan Laye as the new minister. Well, upon the resignation of the former Minister of Foreign Affairs to contest for the seat of the governor in Bauchi State, the Minister of Foreign Affairs seat was vacant temporarily. And now the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Lady Bianca Ojukwu, has been upgraded to the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and there is a new appointee by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Enikan Laye. He's going to serve as the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs. Of course, that will be on the ratification of the Senate on that. So that is the much we can take on the newspaper review segment of MNTV Plus Breakfast Express. We'll have a break. When we come back, we'll have a guest that will join us. We look at some of the issues that we have on the show today. We're going to be talking about the boy-child situation. And then we have a leader and the founder of an orphanage taking us through that journey. Like I said, oftentimes it is majorly about the girl child. Why is there so much silence about the plight of the boy child? You find out all of that and more after this break. Stay with us.